Hello, everybody. Welcome to another episode of the Dark Art Society podcast. I'm your host, Chet Zar, and this week's interview is with horror comic book writer Steve Niles. You may have heard of him. He's a big name in comics and a friend of mine, and a really great interview and a really cool guy. And we had a really fun conversation. And so that's coming up. I did it yesterday. Now I'm recording the intro and editing this thing. I'm doing all of this while still preparing for my show Zombie Death Bots at Copro Gallery on opening Saturday, October 8th, and 2022, in case someone hears this in 5 years. So that's going on. I'm still preparing for that. I am paintings are done, show's hung, it looks great. And now I am working on proofing prints and signing them and getting those ready. And I got to do some wall hanger frame corners, paint them. So I still have some work to do, but the show's essentially done. So I'm happy to have it done. Show sold out again. This is the second show in a year. I probably talked about all this already, didn't I, last time? I don't know. I can't keep track of anything. I'm happy about that, though. I really appreciate all the people who support me and believe in my artwork, because this has been a long time coming. I've often said, my shows used to sell like, a good show. I'd sell about half of the paintings during the show, and then the other half would sell throughout the year, maybe, and then there might be a few that never sold, or I don't know. There's a few hanging around that haven't sold. But to sell a show out before the show opens is a really big deal, especially 2 years in a row. I am like I said, it's been a long time coming. It's been 20 years I've been working to this, so um very happy about that and appreciative. So yeah, I'm getting ready for the show, and that's pretty much it. Getting ready for the Zombie Death Bots show. And I've been focusing on getting the YouTube channel happening, the Dark Art Side of YouTube channel happening whenever I have time. I'm releasing all these old episodes, and man, that thing it's rough. It's rough getting that going. I've got so much content on there now, and it just seems to slowly creep up with new subscribers and more views. It is going upwards slightly, but it sure is not taken off like wildfire. But I wasn't expecting that. I heard it was difficult. Anyway, I'm trying to get that to get to a point where I can monetize the channel, and I'm about halfway. You need a certain amount of watch hours and subscribers, and I'm about halfway on the Dark Art Society YouTube channel. So anything you can do. Again, I talked about this last podcast too. Anything you do to help that, watch the episodes, like them, subscribe, all that stuff, it would be helpful. Because I do want to keep this podcast going, and I want it to get out to more people. Ooh, yeah, I guess there's not much more to talk about. I was gonna do the drawing for the Skull Shoppe skull this week, but I just can't do it. I can't do it. I got this show coming up. Everything's consumed by this show. So maybe next week, sometime this month for sure. It's Halloween month. It's October. I'm so excited about that. I just wish I didn't have so much going on. Lots going on. Anyway, enough of my rambling. If you want to subscribe to the Dark Art Society Patreon, please do at patreon.com/Dark Art Society. and you can join for as little as $1 a month and support the podcast and get your name read on the air. And this week's names are Maggie Fedorov. Thank you so much. Mr. Creep upped his pledge. Thank you, Mr. Creep. Jonathan Glass and David King. Thank you all so much for supporting the podcast. You are keeping it free for everybody else, and I really appreciate that. Well, this may have been a boring intro, but I can't think of anything else to talk about. I'm too distracted with everything that's going on. I'm surprised I even got this episode out. But it was a great interview, really great interview. I'm excited for you to hear it because Steve is just a great dude and a really great writer. And there's a lot of insights into his creative process and the comics field and getting your project made into a movie and things like that, so really fun talking to him. A lot of old man reminiscing about the 70s too. That was kind of fun. So let's just get on with it. I hope you enjoy it. Here we go with Steve Niles. What's up, Steve? Got you with the mouthful of coffee there.
Yeah, sorry. Trying to stay awake.
I hope I'm not that boring.
No.
I've been doing for a while now caffeinated water.
Oh yeah.
Ever tried caffeinated water? It's pretty good.
No.
It's like they have it in like fizzy water, flavored fizzy water, and it's caffeinated, and you don't really taste the caffeine. It's just dangerous because you chug it like water, and all of a sudden you're just like,
That's what I was going to say would be the danger for me.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, I'm a tea drinker,
so
okay. I just, which can get really caffeinated too. So
yeah. I was dabbling in tea for a while back, and I did like it. I don't know. Lisa drinks coffee, so I drink coffee. But so how the hell have you been, man? I don't know why it's taken you so long to get on this podcast. It's like you've been on the list that I wrote 5 years ago when I started it, and it's like a seat of the pants kind of show. It's like it's not like I'm going down the list.
5 years already?
Yeah,
5 years.
Yeah, 5 years. God. It's crazy.
Time is, COVID just screwed up time so bad.
Oh yeah,
because I just realized, we haven't seen each other for probably 3 years.
Yep. At least.
Came out for pizza.
Yeah. Right.
And that was forever ago.
I know. So it's and then old age too fucks up your perception of time. Oh my God, everything goes so fast. It's insane. Young people don't realize it.
They will.
Yep. They'll know. They'll see, and we're just gonna sit and laugh. So how have you been? How are you doing?
Basically good. I've really just used the whole pandemic as an excuse to write. I mean, that's what I did anyway. But now, I've really had like no interruptions. I've been writing a ton of stuff for the last couple of years.
Excellent.
Even up to today. Just I've got a nice batch of publishers I'm working with, and so I've just been keeping real busy. That's the one thing about the pandemic. I was already kind of a recluse.
I always say the same thing. It's like nothing changed really for me.
Yeah, it's just I had less crap I had to deal with, really.
Yeah.
People, I wasn't getting invited to anything. I didn't have to deal with any of that. So, Monica and I just, we both just stay home and work. Monica works at home. I work at home.
Yeah.
So it's been great. It's been, not the pandemic, but,
I know.
Just having all this time just to work. And, I know a lot of people complained that the pandemic strained their relationships. Monica and I are like 10 times tighter than we were when this whole thing started.
Yeah, that's great. Well, it's like well, you both work at home. It's same with Lisa and I. It's like we're always together anyway because I work at home. I haven't worked in the shops for many years now, so it's like we're always in the same house. So at this point, it's like we're used to each other all the time, seeing each other all the time. So it's like that's what I said about the pandemic. I kind of felt bad because I know so many people suffered, and I know people who have died, and it's like it was terrible. But for me, it was exactly what you were saying. It was like, now I can be my reclusive self and then not feel guilty about not going out and doing things and stuff that you get invited to. It's like, I felt like, I don't have to do anything. It's like I can just do what I sort of everything except the external things, the external pressures. So
it's actually really funny because the last party I went to was the one you dragged me to at Busmord's house, where I re-met Monica.
Oh, no way. Wow.
That's where we reconnected.
Oh, that is so cool. Wow.
And and I remember that was just pretty much an effort to get us both out of the house,
Yeah, right.
And that's actually the last sort of just party thing that I've done.
Wow. That's probably the last. Well, no, I do this collector, Chris Velasco, this guy who's a collector of mine. Usually when I have a big solo show, he has the next day he has like an art party at his house for artists and collectors. It's pretty cool. So I do that. That's about it. I don't really.
We do. We go out and eat ourselves. We go do our shopping. But generally we keep ourselves really entertained.
Yeah.
You can't see it, but I turned our garage into an office.
Oh, cool. It looks really nice. This is it?
I finally have a place for all my crap. Yeah. You can't really see, but the walls are covered with art. Your Frankenstein's right over there.
Awesome.
I finally have a place for all my stuff because I've been just like working in living room and bedroom.
Yeah.
Never really had an office. So we finally just put aside some money and built this place, and I love it. I've got my own little habitat.
Excellent. Yeah. We're such creative people, are so solitary. It's like, this is what we do for fun. This is what we would do for fun anyway. It's like, I used to play and stuff with my kids, or when I was a kid with my friends, but I still spent so much time alone as well. Just, making movies and working on drawings and whatever.
Yeah. My mom used to tell a story that when I was like 5 or 6, she heard a ruckus in the basement, and she was so happy because she thought I brought some friends over, and I was just completely alone. I was just having a blast on my own down in the basement,
Yeah,
and,
it's like solitude.
Well, it's weird because I know, especially with writers in Hollywood, there's writers' rooms,
right?
Where people they write as like a group and stuff. I can't imagine that.
You've never done that?
Not with a group. I've worked with other writers one-on-one.
Mm-hmm.
I actually just recently. Do you know the actor David Dashmalian?
No, I don't think so.
You would know him if you saw him. He was in Dune. He's in Ant-Man. He was in Suicide Squad. If you saw that,
okay, no, I haven't seen that.
As the polka dot man. Okay, well, he's great. He's a total horror nerd, and he does a comic called Count Crowley. Mm-hmm. So we teamed up about 6 months ago, and I have my character Cal McDonald.
Oh, cool.
And he has his character Count Crowley. So we did a crossover.
Oh, excellent.
And it was a blast. I wrote 5 pages. He'd write 5 pages, and we would just toss it back and forth.
Oh, cool.
I like that. I like working with. I can't imagine being in a group where everybody's voting and telling you what to write. That would be very difficult.
Yeah. It seems like you'd have to have a person like a head writer who would kind of like make the final calls on everything, because otherwise everyone would be fighting to get their ideas in, I imagine. Yeah,
I've never done it. I've never done a writer's room.
I'm surprised.
I'm not, I'm not a TV writer. I'm not a movie writer. I
Yeah,
really like writing comics. I like comics. It's what I started doing. It's where, I'll do prose occasionally, but I've always done comic books, and I love it, you
that's
know.
cool. That's cool. That's great.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, because so many people want to just like keep going outside of their thing, and it's like I love
Yeah.
artists that find the thing that they love and they do the thing that they love and they become amazing at the thing that they love, and they don't have to
Yeah.
like keep striving to go further and further and get more and more fame and money. It's like, I just want to
Yeah.
be
Yeah.
amazing at this thing that I love.
Yeah. I wrote the first draft of the 30 Days a Night screenplay.
Mhm.
And I remember dealing with like, I don't know, 16 producers. I'm not even exaggerating.
I know it
There
is.
were so many voices coming at me that, it wasn't enjoyable, and I don't like, the script that came out of it. I didn't enjoy either because it was just everybody's input,
Oh,
you
really?
know.
That's such a shame,
Yeah.
man.
We lucked out because Brian Nelson came along, and I love the script he wrote
Oh,
for it.
okay,
That's
cool.
the,
Yeah, I
you
thought the
know,
movie was great. I thought it was cool. I love that movie.
I'm still happy with it. I
Yeah,
think it's aged well.
yeah, yeah,
So I think
yeah.
Slade did a great job, and having, Sam Raimi and Rob Tappert, overseeing everything. You couldn't ask for a better situation,
I know.
you
What
know.
an yeah, that's pretty amazing. Pretty amazing. Um,
Yeah, I mean, that started out when we were selling it. It was a bidding war between three studios, and I didn't even pick studio. I picked Sam Raimi.
that's
I was
so
like,
cool.
whoever Sam Raimi's with, that's who you
That's
go
what I
with.
would have done, man. Totally. That's so
Yeah,
cool.
yeah,
That's the way to
you
do
got to
it.
go with the horror pedigree.
Yeah,
He
yeah.
knows what he's doing.
Yeah. So
Yeah,
what's that like? I mean, it's like I have no idea. I mean, I know what production is like working in effects, but I've never like pitched a movie or been on that end of it to where you're dealing. I've always been, or my experience has been a pair of hands in a makeup effects shop, twice removed
yeah,
from what's going on, and then you see all the producers come in and say make it 10% less scarier and all this stuff, and then you just are sitting there sculpting. But it's a whole different story. If you've got this project that's your baby, and then you got 16 producers you're dealing with, and
yeah.
it's like I've always wondered what it's like what is the
It's
process, and is it as insane as I think it is, or it's
it
just like
is pretty insane. I mean, that's one of the reasons why, these days I just kind of, when I've had a couple. We had a Netflix show a
yeah,
couple
yeah.
years ago,
Mhm.
stuff like that. I like taking the back seat. I like let the producers and the directors and the actors do their thing, because I'm a writer. I'm a comic writer,
Right,
and I don't feel, I'm perfectly comfortable putting my faith in people. It doesn't always work out,
right.
but 30 Days a Night, it worked out.
Yeah.
I saw David Slade's, stuff, and just thought he was great. Knew I had Sam Raimi, and then Brian Nelson came in to do the script. I sat back on that whole thing, and they just kept me up to date. They
Oh,
were really
wow.
great. David was sending me pictures from the sets, and and I felt like it was being taken care of.
That's cool.
Um,
Yeah.
I'll tell you, the crazy part of the whole thing was when we were pitching, because it got a little heat, just the mention of the comic,
Mhm.
so there were people who wanted to hear this pitch. So I must have pitched like 15 places, in just a couple
Wow.
weeks,
It's
and you go in and you do the same thing over and over,
do you have to
and
do the do you have to do the it's this combined with this? They always say that like it's
I always avoid that, because I was, I never know what to say,
I mean, if
like
you're
it's the thing
excited,
meets Night of the Living Dead. I
yeah.
don't know, you know.
If you're excited about it, though, it seems like I
Yeah,
know that I'm like a mush mouth for the most part. Um, but when I'm excited about something I'm working on, I can talk about it. So it seems
yeah.
like if you're excited about what you're doing, you can like just be real and talk about how cool it
That's
is.
that's basically what, I didn't I would sort of write something out that I would not memorize, but just as a prompt.
Mhm.
Um, but mostly it was just, yeah, every meeting was just off the top of my head,
Wow.
being excited.
Yeah, yeah.
So,
Were you
yeah.
nervous? Were you nervous?
Oh yeah.
I suppose
Oh
the
yeah.
first
Yeah.
one, especially,
I've
I've been in those
always had a
production
nervous.
offices.
Yeah.
It's like,
Oh, I mean, I've played on stage with a band. I'd rather do that. I'd rather
yeah,
play in a
me
thousand
too.
people than have one producer staring at me like I'm an idiot, or checking their phone.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
had one time, I won't say who because he's a well-known director, but I had a director fall asleep on me pitching. He
Oh,
actually
oh
knocked
my
it off.
God. Oh my
Yeah.
God.
Like
Wow.
doing like banging on the table, like trying to get his eyes open. Oh, yeah.
That's pretty
And
bad.
I am a nervous wreck with this stuff, with anything that, getting in front of people. I'm just, yeah,
Yeah.
I've always been like that.
Yeah.
When I played in the band used to wait to tell me we're playing shows because they know I'd just start throwing up. You get immediately nervous and terrified. So they would actually like, oh yeah, we have a show in a week.
Oh, that's
Oh, okay.
funny. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's
Always had a
like,
problem with that. I'm much better now, but
yeah, yeah, yeah. Well, that's one thing that usually gets better with age. You realize so
yeah,
much of the anxiety is worrying how you're perceived, and then the older you get, the less you give a shit.
exactly.
What people think,
I
and you realize
I
that,
just care less.
yeah, it's a good kind of not caring.
Exactly. Yeah. Just not caring what people think, or you're being judged, or
Right.
whatever my fear came from.
Yeah,
But,
yeah.
I've always been that way. I remember in school, like nothing would give me a bigger nightmare than a book report.
Oh my God,
Remember
I know.
having those?
Yeah.
Oh,
Or reading when you have to
same.
when it's your turn to read out loud in front of the class, it's like terrible, terrible. I mean, that's
Yeah.
part of the reason I started doing the podcast actually, was just because I knew I was like not good with this stuff. And so I thought, doing the podcast would help me to just learn to speak better. And it worked. I've gotten much better at it. Um,
Yeah.
but yeah, it's just like anything. You got to practice it, and it gets
Yeah.
easier when you
Exactly.
practice,
That's what I just got used to it. Now when I do every once in a while, we'll do a band reunion, and I'm fine now. I'm
Yeah. Oh,
fine
that's cool.
after all the years of just being horrified. Now I'm fine.
Did
Yeah.
you know
When it
my
doesn't matter
yeah, yeah, yeah. All the pressure's off. I actually had a reunion with my band, Skin Horse, this band I had uh back in San Pedro. And it was really fun. It was really cool just to get back up on stage and play again. It was,
anymore.
man, I miss it. I miss it.
Yeah,
Um
I love playing. I always did. I always loved, like, especially the studio,
mhm.
and recording stuff. That was my favorite stuff
Me
to do.
too. Same here. It was always recording, songwriting and recording, like the creative part of it.
Yeah, yeah,
I preferred
constructing
that to
songs.
performing for sure.
Yeah. Well, like, performing was all nerves and energy, you
Yeah.
know, but when you're in the studio, you're being creative,
Mhm.
everybody's contributing. It's just when it works, it's like the best feeling in the world.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah.
And we actually, before COVID hit, Gray Matter we were recording songs. I
Oh,
was in
really? New
DC.
songs?
Yeah,
Oh,
new
wow.
songs. We were like three or four of them. I think an old cover we used to do, we recorded. But it was just great. That's how, when we go hang out, I go to DC, it's just like reconnecting with my high school friends,
Yeah, how cool. What are the other guys
Yeah.
doing? What do they do now? They all have kind of
Jeff
regular jobs?
Well, Jeff still has his recording studio.
Mm.
So he has his recording studio, but he's a union organizer.
Oh, wow.
So he works with entertainment broadcast unions, and Dante owns the Black Cat Club in DC,
Oh,
which is
wow.
where we always play. He's got a very successful club. And Mark, actually, he was in San Francisco forever, and he just moved to Jersey. So now they're all on the East Coast.
Oh, wow. All except
So
you.
I'm planning on, hopefully, March. I'm going to go visit. I feel safe to fly, I think so.
Right. That's cool.
But yeah, we're inseparable. I mean, we still have, we have a running text between the three of us, between the four of us, that we're just always updating, and we've known each other since we were like 16.
That's so cool. That's
Yeah.
amazing. I mean, you could do writing and stuff online. I mean, like recording, and with all the equipment, recording equipment, it's like you can kind of like send files back and forth and stuff, can't you?
Yeah, that's what we do. We send files back and forth. If somebody, we exchange riffs,
Oh, cool.
basically. Jeff and I tried to jam on Zoom. Can't
No, it's like got a delay,
No,
right?
there's just enough of a delay to make it impossible. So, but we tried.
Yeah,
That's what I've got. Still got my amps and my instruments over here. So, that's a good thing about living out in the middle of nowhere. I can make as much noise as I want.
oh yeah, you could crank it and play and everything.
Oh yeah. No, I can't. There's at least 2 acres between us and any neighbors.
Oh, nice.
So yeah, I love it. Oh, it's the perfect recluse house.
How much
But
farther are you than you were before from me? Because you
another
were like an
45 minutes,
hour.
maybe?
It was an hour
Yeah.
when I drove to your place that time. It was exactly
So
an
now it's
hour, I
probably
think.
an hour and a half now.
Oh, okay. That's not too bad still.
Yeah, I'm directly on the other side of the mountain from you.
Oh, wow.
Basically, yeah.
That's so cool.
Remember like 2 years ago when there was the fires?
Yeah, yeah.
I think they were above you.
Yeah, they were. I could see them
And
out
they
my
came
front
over
door.
the mountain. And yeah, they came over the mountain and hit our
Oh,
area.
no way. Wow. I didn't realize that was
Yeah.
wow, what a trip. Yeah, that was scary,
Yeah.
man.
We lucked out. We lucked out. We were, we had to evacuate, and we were basically just home watching our neighborhood burn on the news.
Oh my
And
God.
a friend of mine called and said, I found some footage on the news you've got to see. And it was a helicopter going like, well, this one's gone. This one's gone. Oh, this one's fine. That was our house.
Wow. Amazing.
Somehow they protected our house, and we got through, everything around our house burned, but we were fine.
Yeah, I know someone who one of my collectors lives in Malibu during the big fires
Oh,
in Malibu, and her house, she showed me a picture. It was just like that. It was the only house in the area that was fine. And it had
yeah,
like smoke damage on the inside. They had to get,
yeah,
do whatever they do. But she showed me a picture, and it was just like, yeah, it's you gotta
yeah.
wonder, it's
It's
gotta wonder when
scary.
stuff like that happens.
Yeah. Monica's gardens were all burned up.
Oh man.
The corner of the house was actually scorched,
Whoa.
but we lucked out. We lucked
Yeah.
out.
Yeah. And that,
Yeah.
sadly, the way I feel now, it's sad that you have to feel this way, but I'm like, well, there's nothing left to burn now, so I don't have to worry about a fire next year. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
It's because our
I
whole
know.
mountain is just
Well,
like, and it's like sucks, but it's like, oh, at least we get a breather. Because,
yeah,
you know,
exactly. I can just not stress out for a little while, because man, there's nothing quite like that feeling of looking out the front and seeing those clouds, seeing
yeah, oh,
those
yeah,
plumes
yep.
of smoke, you know,
It's so creepy.
scariest feeling in the world,
Yeah,
you
yeah.
know. But at the same time, it was really odd because we were in friends loaned us their guest house for 2 weeks, and it was literally like a small hotel room, and we had all the dogs and the cats. Luckily, another neighbor, watched Gil for us,
Oh, okay.
but it was odd how we were at peace with it, because at one point it just looked like,
It
oh,
was,
it's gone.
and it was
Yeah, I
like
mean,
all your
George
stuff
Hill's,
in the
yeah, it was. Well, actually, because it took so long for it to get to us,
hmm.
I got all my comics and all my artwork out.
Oh, cool.
I evacuated my collectibles to my
Nice,
to a
nice.
friend's house. So that looked, and then but there was still, I mean, the whole house and everything in it.
Yeah,
But
right.
you just kind of resign yourself.
Yeah,
Monica and I were just like, I guess we're starting over. You know,
yeah,
and
yeah.
there's a certain acceptance that comes with it. But boy, the relief of seeing our house on TV, that was incredible.
Yeah, that's pretty damn cool.
Yeah.
Uh, someone up there likes you. Divine
I
intervention.
hope.
um, so what have you? What are you working on now? It's like do you have? Are you working on like personal kind of? All your projects are kind of personal projects at this point, right? Because
Yeah,
I was looking.
they all start out personal because I write usually not knowing where it has a home. I usually don't go out pitch stuff in advance. I really like to map it out.
Okay,
You know,
because that's again, I'm so curious about all of this. The whole comic world is a complete mystery to me because I never, really had an opportunity to get into it at all. As much as I love comics, but uh, I assume there's different ways of doing work. Like someone could come to you and say, "Hey, we want to hire you to do this type of comic," or there's you going
which
out and saying, "Hey, I have a yeah." Because I was looking at your resume and I was like, wow, I'm surprised. I would never imagine Steve writing that. Like some of the early stuff you got hired for. And
yeah,
I was like, I wonder, what was that like?
yeah,
Because you're such a
yeah.
horror
Well, when I
guy.
started out, I did a lot of adapting other people's work.
Right.
You know, adapted Richard Matheson, Harlan Ellison, and Clive Barker.
Yeah,
So,
yeah.
I was working with other people's material
But
for a
that's
long
all, but
time
that's
till
all in your wheelhouse. That's like the stuff you love. But there was some stuff too that was like, wasn't there stuff that
I
was,
wrote Kick-Ass for 2 years.
oh, really? That's
Yeah, which is just like kind of a superhero
yeah,
thing.
exactly. So how is that, how is it to write
It was
outside of
fun.
your, was it?
It was really fun. I mean, I grew up on a lot of horror stuff, but with comics, it was Spider-Man, the Hulk, Fantastic Four, all the stuff in the 70s that I just love, Batman.
Mm-hmm.
So I have the love for those things.
Okay.
Most of my collection is superhero stuff from the Silver Age.
Okay.
Um, so when I got offered the opportunity, I took it, because it was
Yeah.
really fun. My natural inclination is to do horror,
Right.
you know, but it was really fun. 2 years of a superhero thing was kind of fun.
Yeah. That's cool. Yeah. I know, back when I was working in effects and, even with my own artwork, you get commissioned to do things that you wouldn't normally do, like maybe a more of a straight portrait or someone's dog or something. And then you end up being like, man, that was so much fun. It's fun to
Yeah,
paint something normal once in a while, or,
yeah,
sculpting like a traditional portrait bust of someone for some prop you made for a TV show or something. It's like, it's a
yeah.
nice change of pace. It also makes you grow as an artist, I think, to step outside of your
I think
comfort
so.
zone a bit. And then you can kind of
Exactly.
bring
I
that
think
back
that.
to your love of horror. You can kind of bring those things back in and sort of add to that in a way,
Yeah.
you
Well,
know.
I remember when Mark Miller called me and said, do you want to do Kick-Ass?" My first reaction was no.
Really?
Oh, why would I know? I was like, I can't do that. And then I thought about it a little bit, and I was like, I've read superheroes my whole life. I
Right.
can do it.
Right.
So yeah, it
And
was really fun.
yeah, I mean, that's the thing. It's like creative people can do all kinds of different things. You know
Mhm.
what I mean? It's like there's like this level of what creativity is and how creativity works and how you're able to think about things creatively. And it's almost like this kind of weird abstract skill that underlies all creative things like writing, painting, sculpture, filmmaking, everything. And it's like it seems like you just kind of have to learn the basic rules of these different disciplines, but if you know the creative foundation and how creativity works and
Yeah,
how to recognize a good idea and how to, it's like you can kind of put your attention to any of the like creative disciplines and know how to make it
yeah,
work intuitively, sort of. You know what I mean?
yeah. I still with like Kick-Ass, I still had the same goals,
Right,
except
right,
I wasn't trying to scare people, but
right,
I still wanted to, I want to have characters people care about. Want to have
right,
a plot that wasn't
right.
expected. Still, you're right. I mean, it's still the same tools.
Right,
It's
right,
just how I'm using,
right.
you know. But honestly, like again, I'm just been having a blast because everything that I'm doing right now, I have 4 projects set up for the next year,
Oh,
and
nice.
every one of them was just a labor of love because I start out and I don't know if there's a publisher. I don't know who the artist is. I'm just writing a story.
Hmm.
Uh, that's that's the really fun part. And then, actually my least favorite part is going out and selling it.
Yeah.
You know,
You have so many
you know,
connections now, though. I imagine it's not as big a deal now to, I'm sure you have
I've
all
got
these.
I've got some really good situations. I'm working a lot with Storm King, which is Sandy King Carpenter and John Carpenter's comic company.
Oh, cool. I
So
didn't know they had one. That's
yeah, so
great.
they've picked up so many of my projects.
Oh,
So
great.
I'm doing that.
Wow.
I'm working with IDW again.
Hmm.
I just had a 6-issue series come out from Image in the last 6 months
Cool.
called A Town Called Terror. It's been again, I know it's been a horrible time for a lot of people, but it's been an incredibly creative time, you
Yeah.
know,
Yeah.
you know,
That's
and it was
great.
so funny because when COVID started, I think I did what we did what everybody did was, we went out and stocked up the kitchen,
Hmm.
filled the pantry up with stuff. I also bought like 20 model kits because I thought I was just going to be like, I don't know, like I thought I was launching into the apocalypse. Like, there wouldn't be TV or computer. I was going to have to like entertain myself. Never built a single model the whole
That's
time. I've just been
hilarious.
working. I know. Yeah, Monica's like, yeah, let's put the box of models in storage now. Obviously we didn't reach that point of the pandemic.
Wow. Yeah, what happened with me, what was really weird with the pandemic is I got an opportunity to do a tool poster.
Mm,
And it because they were hiring artists and paying them in posters, and then you get to sell the posters yourself. And
oh, nice.
yeah, and there's this huge secondary market of tool posters. At the time, it was crazy huge, and my designs were some of the top ones that were most desirable. So I basically all year, all I was doing was doodling, and then I would get paid extra to do doodles on them, and I could sell them for more. And I just spent the whole year doodling tool posters for like a year straight. It was insane. And then people were mailing them to me, and I was doodling on them. It was just like it was crazy. It was so out of left field.
Yeah.
That I don't know what I would have done if I didn't have that. It just came right at the right time and fell in my lap.
It's just funny though, I had a thing, my what basically helped me do The Office was a job, and every once in a while, I really like the challenge of job, but a company came to me and was like, we have an idea. We just want you to be work for hire, but we want you to create, they gave me like 2 pages of notes and I had to write 6 issues from it.
Hmm.
But again, it was just like, boy, getting those creative muscles going. I really enjoyed it, but that was an unexpected project. I really
Yeah.
enjoyed that. Uh,
Do you do do you off
I don't mind.
No, go
Oh, I
ahead.
don't mind working on people's ideas. I love it
Really? What I was gonna
as long
ask.
as loose ideas.
Yeah, right.
No,
Yeah, especially
you come
I've
to me with oh, just say I don't like when people will come to me with a beginning, middle, and end.
yeah,
I'm like, well, you've already done all the work.
right, right.
There's nothing to do. But you come to me with a seed of an idea, and I love it. I
Yeah,
love it.
especially if it's a good idea. That's the thing when it comes to like for me, it's like painting commissions. It's like I don't mind doing painting commissions if the idea is like, oh, I could do something with this, and it's again,
Yeah,
it's vague enough. Let me do my thing, but
exactly.
that's the key thing. I was wondering, it's like uh how often are you just work for hire, you pay me once and I do this and they own everything, versus how often are you able to do you ever get to keep any of the rights of the work you
Yeah, most
do?
like the Image books, 100%.
This is part of this is what you negotiate with these companies. It's like it's kind of up for negotiation.
That's Image's deal. I mean, Image is just a fantastic company. They make their money off publishing, and they don't care about the entertainment. They just don't. They don't dip into people's rights.
That's cool.
So they're a really great, exceptional company. But other companies, I'm 50-50 partners. There's some publishers, take little pieces. There's one company I work for. It's just we split evenly among me, the artist, and the publisher. So every deal is different. Every deal is completely different. But most except for the Kick-Ass was obviously work for hire.
Right.
So I don't want any part of that. And this werewolf thing I did that I can't remember the title right now was a work for hire thing.
Wow. Yeah, I understand. I know. That's like people ask me, about the podcast. It's like, I was talking to somebody, I need to have this artist on the podcast. And they were like, you already had him on. And I was like, no, I didn't. I didn't have him on the podcast. And then they sent me a link. I was like, oh man, I don't even remember doing that interview. But it's like that on all the movies I've worked on. It's like, I have just no memory whatsoever. I don't even have no memory of it. It's like, it was so long ago. It's crazy. It's crazy. I was actually looking after I asked you to be on the podcast. I was like, did I have Steve on already? I can't. I had to go look through because I was like, maybe I forgot. It seems like I would have had him on by now.
I have, people will come up to me at conventions and they'll be like, this was my favorite scene in this book you did. I'm like, I have no recollection of that. Just don't, because, you do your thing and you're on to the next.
Mm-hmm.
I don't spend a lot of, I don't read my own books.
Right. Right. Yeah. Yeah. Have you ever done that? Have you ever done that? Because I never listen to the podcast. That's one thing for sure.
I've done it with the prose books for Cal McDonald because I was trying to remember what I was doing.
Okay.
I had to write some new short stories last year. So I went back and read that. Other than that, no.
Really?
They come in, I'll make sure there's no horrible mistakes. And then I never look at it again.
So how did you feel reading over that? Were you like, I did pretty good? Or were you like,
boy, I was reading some of it. I was like, boy, you could tell I was 21 years old writing this, but then on other things, I was kind of like, oh, I didn't know I wrote that. That's a pleasant surprise.
Yeah. Yeah. That's such a cool character. I love that character, the Cal McDonald.
Yeah. I love writing him. He's my favorite to write.
Is he kind of like your pet, your pet project or your love, the one that you want to hold the rights onto, that is like you're doing it for the love, kind of, what I mean? Like
the publisher who has it, I'm partners with. We're 50-50 partners. Yeah, I love that character. I keep feeding. We just had a graphic novel come out last month.
Oh, cool.
I don't seem to run out of ideas with him.
How has it not been a movie yet? Is what I can't understand. It's like so perfect for a TV series or a movie. It's like,
you know what the problem is? He's just a guy. It's not like Hellboy,
right?
Where there's like dynamic character that you can make action figures out of,
right?
It's a guy, and I think that's the biggest. Oh, they're like, he doesn't have horns.
He doesn't have superpowers or whatever.
Yeah, he's just a fucked up guy.
But that's what's cool about him, though.
I know. That's what I think. I think the biggest problem too is getting people to read the material, because I think it's all the attitude. People are always like, well, he's just like Constantine. I'm like, no, he's nothing like Constantine. If you actually read the material, you'd know that.
Yeah.
But yeah, I know that's one of those ones where everybody is always saying that would make a perfect TV show, especially now,
right?
What you can do.
Yeah.
But it hasn't happened yet.
Yeah. It's just a matter of time, I guess.
Yeah. But then, a couple of years ago, I mean, pretty new series. I'd only been doing it for 5 years. October Faction,
Mm-hmm.
got changed. Got turned into a Netflix show.
Yeah, how did that happen? Did you have any involvement or was that just like you wrote it
Not
and
much. By the time, I did visit the writers' room, and they gave me their pitch and all that stuff. But aside from that day and then a set visit, I really didn't have much. I didn't have anything to do with it.
but
You know,
how did it get made? Was it like the publisher
it was
went and pitched it?
IDW has a really solid entertainment division,
Mm,
and they helped develop it. And it was okay. It didn't. I mean, it only lasted one season,
yeah,
so
yeah.
you know, which is kind of what everything does on
I
Netflix.
know. I couldn't.
You
Yeah,
know,
I was like, you don't even give it a chance to become something when it's only one season.
well,
You know what I mean?
exactly. Especially in the case of October Faction, the first season it was like the setup
Right, right.
for it to go on it, but that's Netflix, so
Yeah,
the way things go, can never tell what people are gonna like.
yeah. Have you ever thought about like? I know this is crazy, and probably the answer is no. But have you ever thought about like independently creating a like a short for a project that you would direct?
Oh, I thought about it.
Yeah.
There's a couple projects of mine that I would love to see through, but I don't even know where to start.
Yeah,
And
right.
like, I mean, we have that. I like being in my little cave doing my thing, and I can't imagine
Dealing with all those
what it
people.
would take to make a short, dealing with having to direct all these people,
Yeah.
and I just don't know if I have it in me.
Yeah.
I think about it. I sure think about it a lot, but the right situation hasn't happened.
Yeah.
I was asked to direct a music video at one point,
Oh, wow.
and I was just like, I don't have a clue.
Yeah.
It wouldn't be fair for me to say yes, because I'd be coming in just like, you want me to juggle too? More things I can't do,
You used to make
So,
movies when you were a little kid, right? Like me.
oh yeah, Super 8.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Super 8.
Super 8.
It's like
Yeah.
I swear, and it sounds crazy, but I feel like because I was doing that shit at 9 years old. I was
Yep.
filming, editing, and understanding how to set up a narrative and things like this just by doing it. And I really feel
Yeah.
like I kind of have it, and being such a huge fan of movies and just watched million I mean, like, super nerdy about movies and cinematographers and sound design, just nerdy
Yeah.
stuff about films. And so
Yeah.
I feel like just knowing that, I feel like I could do it if I just had a little bit of, like, technical knowledge about just basic things. I feel like I kind of have it in me as to know, because I feel like I can tell a good movie and good pacing
Yeah.
and things that most people don't
Yeah.
think about. But I really feel like it comes from getting into film at such a young age and being such a movie nerd
Yeah.
at such a young age, you know?
Yeah. Me too. I mean, remember the first movie when we met on MySpace, if you recall.
Oh, damn.
Uh, isn't that hilarious? And we were talking about Night of the Living Dead. And Night of the Living Dead is like the one movie where I'm just like, I love that movie on so many levels.
Yeah, yeah,
And
totally.
one of them is that they just went in fucking Pittsburgh and
I
made a movie.
know. It's amazing.
I
It's
love that.
amazing. I
That's my
know.
favorite.
It's
You know,
so punk. It's so punk rock before punk
it
rock, you
is.
know?
Yeah. It's like, you don't want to work with me? I'll do it myself.
Yeah.
You know, and I love that.
Yeah.
And it's just, I mean, it's a great movie and it's scary to this day.
I know. It's so funny because I was just downloading uh pictures from Night of the Living Dead right before I got on with you, because I was like, I should do some like quick little paintings for Halloween or something, just to,
Oh
bring
yeah.
a little more money. And I love the movie so much because it was the anniversary of it yesterday, or the
Yeah.
day
Well,
before yesterday or
50,
whatever.
50 something.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, it was, well,
Yeah.
I'm 55. And I'm going to be 55 in November, and it came out in October of 68.
Yeah.
So it's like it was 55th anniversary, I think.
I
I
didn't
don't
know
know.
you were older or younger than me.
How
I'm
old are you?
57.
Oh,
57.
once you're over 50,
I know. Once you're
it's just
past
old.
14, it doesn't matter.
You were born in I was born in 67. You were born in what, 60?
65.
60? Oh, okay. Yeah, we're just old at this point. Doesn't,
Yeah, I know.
remember when a 2-year difference was a huge deal? I remember
Exactly.
like my best friend at the time, his brother was a year younger than us, and he just seemed like a little kid. And now it's like he just seems like my same age when I see him. It's like it's so weird. But
Yeah.
it's funny.
I know. Yeah. Well, when Monica and I met, we were both 17, but she didn't know it. She thought, I don't know what this says about me, but she thought I was a couple years younger. So, it made a difference. And, and
Yeah,
then
yeah,
we
that's
realized
funny.
not only are we the exact same age, we're a month apart.
Oh wow, that's crazy.
Yeah. So it's like exact.
What a trip. That's funny.
Yeah.
I used to always get mistaken for being years younger than I was my whole life, really. But also I used to get mistaken for being a girl when I was a little kid all the time because I always
Yeah,
had
me
long
too.
hair.
Yeah, me too. Big long hair. I remember one time I got blood poisoning when I had my long hair, and they put me in a room with this old man who yelled the entire time, "Why am I in a room with a little girl?"
It sounds like a
Like,
nightmare.
bad enough I'm in the hospital. I got to deal with this.
It's
Yeah. You know what though? I gotta say, Monica and I talk about this a lot. I am so glad we grew up when we did,
oh yeah, yeah, for
because I
sure.
would not want to be a kid today.
Yeah, it's insane. It's an insane
Yeah.
world because I got
Yeah.
grandkids now. I got granddaughters now.
Holy shit, really?
Yeah, 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 yeah.
And you're younger than me. Oh my God. How old am
Well,
I?
it's they're step granddaughters, but my son's fiance, she had these two girls when she was young with her first husband. And then we met them when they were like 3, 4 years old. So they don't remember not knowing us. So we're like natural grandparents to them. But man, it's a trip seeing them grow up nowadays. It's just
I'm sure.
the world is so it's so crazy. It's just everything is so crazy and social media and
All
all
the
this stuff.
technology. I mean, the world is crazy too, but then all
Yeah,
the technology.
I know.
I feel like every time I see a kid, they're like
Oh
this.
yeah,
They got
yeah,
a face and a screen,
yeah.
you know?
You have to it's like in it inevitability, and then you have to like make them like they can't use any of that stuff when they're at home, which is most of the time. But their treat when they come over here is they get to use it, and it's like
Oh, yeah.
they are just glued to the screens the whole time, and it's like
Yeah.
I would really have a problem with this if I didn't know that you didn't have this at home. I would be like putting my foot down. But it's like, they get it every couple of weeks. They get to come to grandma and grandpa's and do the bad thing that we would have been doing. We would have been doing it if
Yeah.
we were kids. It's like
Oh, yeah.
I
Well,
used to be hooked on my Atari.
my Pong. I remember
Yeah.
playing Pong. My eyes were bleeding, Oh, God.
Yep. I remember the first Pong when it came out. It was at a Shakey's Pizza, and it was a Pong machine, and it was like, wow, this is amazing. I mean, well, I must have been really young. I barely remember it. It's
Yeah.
crazy.
Yeah. Yeah. But I still, I feel like our time wasn't eaten up by technology,
Yeah, yeah.
which is why we were off. I was making movies and building
Hmm.
stop motion models, and, just all this. I was
Yeah.
always trying to do something,
I'll tell you though.
and I can't.
Yeah, yeah. I'll tell you though. My perspective seeing the grandkids here is uh they do they do creative stuff on the iPads because they're making little movies and they're editing.
Oh,
It's all social media crap, but it's like they are doing some creative stuff, and one of them is really into making like creature costumes, and so she
Oh,
watches videos on how to do like foam construction, and then I help her do stuff. So it's like there is that element to it. It's not as dire as you might think, although it's pretty
yeah.
dire.
Yeah.
There are some
Yeah.
positives to it, because it's like I think like, man, if I had access to non-linear editing when I was a kid, oh my god, that
Oh,
would be,
remember our editing?
yeah.
The little crank thing, cutting it by hand and taping. Oh,
Oh yeah,
Jesus.
yeah, yeah. I was so into it though, man. It was like once I started editing, and I learned, I got a little one of those little cutter things, and I got the
Yep.
tape. It
Yep.
was like, wow, this is so
I
cool
remember
to watch everything.
Kmart had Kmart had a whole brand called Focal, and you could
Mhm.
get the Super 8 camera, you could get the editing, the little tiny editing bay with the crank, the film cutter, the tape. Oh, I remember all that stuff very well.
Yeah, and drop. You remember you had to drop it off. You drop your film off at the drugstore and wait for what was it, a week or something, and then you'd get
A
it
week.
back,
Yeah.
and then
Yeah.
you'd
It was a week.
and it was 3.5 minutes. You got 3.5 minutes of film, and then you had
Yep.
to wait to get it back to see if it came out or not. I remember doing like some stop
Yep.
motion stuff with my Star Wars figures, and then
Yeah.
realizing after shooting everything, waiting a week, getting the film back, putting it on the projector, and then realizing that you needed a tripod for that shit, because it was all like, so I
Sure
was just like
did.
hand holding
Yeah.
it a movie because I didn't know.
Yeah. I had one of those little cord things to click
Yeah,
one
yeah,
frame
me
at a time.
too. Yep.
Yeah.
That's when you
Yeah.
start
Oh, I
getting
love that shit.
really pro. Yeah, at that point, it's like I had a tripod and I had one of those little clicker things, and I did a little stop motion clay. I was just thinking, I still have all my most of them, my old Super 8 films, and I've been looking at places to transfer it on to digital before they,
Yeah.
do
There are places you can do that.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
I
You
need to do
remember
that.
do you remember Cinemagic magazine?
Oh yeah, hell yeah.
Starlog from the Starlog company. It was
Yeah,
all about
I still have a bunch of those. Yeah, those were
yeah.
great, man.
Um,
Great resources. There was a good one on mask
yeah.
making and
Yeah,
building
stop motion
armatures. Yeah, yeah.
armatures. I used to build my own armatures and buy my own liquid latex and you know,
It was
try
so
to build
fun.
monsters.
Oh my god, it was
Yeah.
so fun. So fun.
I was very lucky because my mom indulged the hell out of me.
Hmm.
I'm like, Mom, I need a gallon of liquid latex. Don't ask. you know,
Yeah, yeah.
and
That was my situation was the same. My mom was super supportive, and it's like if she she'd get, I remember her giving me like, I don't know, whenever a new Aurora model came out, her giving me being like 5 years old. This was crazy. Her giving me, I think it was $2. I think it was $2 or three
they were
dollars or something.
$1.99.
Yeah, yeah. So I'd take $2, walk all the way down, way across the major intersection in San Pedro, Western Avenue, go in, pick my model out, give them the $2, come back home and build it, listening to my AM radio. Oh my God. It was like those days were amazing. So much fun.
Yeah,
And all by
yeah,
myself, all alone,
yeah. Me
you know?
too. Except when I would gather friends to make a movie.
Yeah,
You
yeah,
know.
exactly. You're always getting your friends to come and be in your movie, and they're like, "What are you doing? What
Yeah,
is this?"
exactly. I know. Trying to turn my idiot friends into actors. Oh, I wish,
Yes.
I think my sister has a beta tape with all my Super 8 stuff on it.
Oh, cool.
I have to try to find that.
Yeah, yeah. That stuff's you gotta. It's amazing. I actually,
Yeah.
when we did when that Mike Carell made the documentary about me, we digitized. We did. My sister had a bunch of old family home movies that she had digitized so we could use them in the movie. And so
Hmm.
we do have like a ton of old family stuff of me like dressed as a black cat on Halloween and stuff. Like I'm 2 years old and shit.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah, yeah, it's pretty great. But I want to get my movies because I've got some pretty cool ones. I've got like a stop motion clay, like a Conan guy, like a warrior that fights a big snake with a giant mouth, and he like cuts the head off, and then it falls over and bleeds, and then the story just ends.
Yeah. Oh, that sounds great. Oh, I remember I used to, I would build spaceships. I would, build the frames out of balsa wood,
Oh
and I would
wow.
buy battleship models and
Oh,
all
that's
these
cool. You
military.
were like kit bashing before
Yeah,
it was cool.
yeah. I was like cutting stuff up, and I would glue them all over, and then do the airbrush to
Yeah.
weather them.
Wow. Yeah,
And
you were
then I would like
advanced.
hang them on strings and try
Yeah.
to make them. You know,
Did you burn them
but
eventually or blow them up with the firecrackers? Because that's usually what
every
ended up.
single one of them. There had to be the big explosion scene. I would buy like flash powder and
Oh
try to make
wow.
it explode, stuff like that, but it never worked.
We
You
would
know,
get firecrackers and then cut them open and then break them in half and then
mm,
squeeze out the gunpowder and just get as much of
yes,
that together as we could and then stick a fuse in that. Just talking to my friends, like I used to go up on my roof all the time and run around on the roof because I was like a latchkey kid. So we could do all kinds
yeah,
of crazy shit because no one was watching us. I would go climb up on my roof and just be playing on the roof. I mean, I can't, if my kid went on the roof, I would fucking
oh,
freak out.
oh, I know.
So I
Well,
used to
all we
jump
did was
off the
play
roof.
construction.
What's
We
that?
lived in an area in Virginia where there was a lot of construction. So I was
Oh,
like playing construction sites, jumping around, and
yeah.
there's nails and wood, just,
Dirt clod fights and all that.
oh God, yeah. I remember we used to put firecrackers in slingshots and shoot them at each other like maniacs,
It's
and we
so
think it was
amazing.
hysterical to get caught in your hair and blow up. Like, oh, crap. It's just,
Yeah, it was a great time. It definitely was a
yeah.
great time. I wouldn't trade it for the world.
So let's get back to criticizing kids today.
Yeah.
Shooting firecrackers into each
Yeah.
other's faces.
Yeah, right. These damn kids looking at their devices and we're sitting there like starting fires and blowing things up and okay, anyway,
That's what
let's
I.
no,
Anyway,
no, go ahead. What were you saying?
oh, I just remembered that. Do you remember that great toy from Space 1999?
The big
They had the Eagle One ship.
yeah.
Yeah, I somewhere there's Super 8 footage of that on fire.
Oh, wow. Cool.
And now I'm just thinking about it, man. I'd love to have that toy now.
Oh yeah. The toys were amazing in the 70s, in the early 70s. They were really cool. And the late 60s too. Cause I used to get like some of my brother's hand-me-downs. Um, but yeah, I remember there was like a cool submarine, a GI Joe submarine that
Oh yeah,
like the little single
yeah.
submarine. It was like
I
so
remember the Apollo set. Remember the Apollo?
I don't know. Oh
GI Joe
yeah,
set.
that's right. That's right. Yeah,
Oh,
yeah. I forgot all
major
about
toy.
that. Yeah, they were like epic, these toys.
Yeah.
Anyway, God, now we really sound old. People,
I know. I know.
Okay, let's talk about you. Let's talk about what you're up to now. Do you have any stuff that you can say, or is it all kind of like secret what you're working on?
One of these little pet projects I've been working on is I wrote a graphic novel about my days playing music.
Oh, how cool.
Uh, I did sort of a slice of life comic, sort
That's
of.
so weird because I was thinking that I was thinking about I was just thinking about you doing, looking at your Wikipedia and stuff, getting ready for this. And I was like, I wonder if he's ever thought about doing like, like a Harvey Picar kind of like,
Yeah,
slice of life sort of thing. Cause you've had a pretty
yeah,
crazy life. You got a lot of cool stuff to write about.
yeah. So I wrote it. It's 115 pages. Um, just found an artist. So hopefully it'll be out in a year or so from Image. It's
Oh,
called
that's
Swan Street.
excellent. How cool.
Yeah, so I did that. I just finished a Christmas ghost story graphic novel that I'm very excited about.
Cool.
What else? Yeah, I've written I've got a thing at Storm King, that's Sandy and John's company, called The Killing Hole, which takes place in 1979.
Cool.
About about these two friends who one friend is gradually realizing that his friend might be a future serial killer,
Oh, wow, that's cool.
and how he deals with it. So,
Wow,
uh, so
that
yeah,
sounds great.
I'm having a blast right now.
Excellent. That's so
Yeah,
cool.
so I got all yeah, and then Monica and I just did a comic called The Yard Gang, which is a Halloween story based on all our animals.
Oh, great. Wow. Is it out
I
yet?
mean, yeah, it just came out last week,
Oh, killer.
and it's for kids. I mean, adults can obviously read it, but
Right.
it's very young, and that was really fun to do.
That's really cool.
Yeah,
Do
so
you
I've just been just cranking away.
yeah, yeah, you're super prolific. Do you when you are when you write a comic, are you like how do you write it? Because it's like because when you read a comic, it's images and usually very little text. And so is
Right,
it
right.
when you're writing, are you writing like kind of what's in the panel to tell the
Yeah,
artist?
yeah, yeah. I write panel one, character walks in, you know, with hand raised. This is the caption. This is the dialogue.
Okay,
Panel
so
two.
so is this like
Yeah.
the way it's done? Because I don't know anything about it. Is this kind of the common way that
Everybody does it
writers?
different.
Oh,
Everybody does it different. A lot of people, I know certain artists like to work from an outline, say, and then you script after the fact.
oh, that's
Um,
weird.
I've
Yeah.
never been very good at that. That I think that's a much harder way to work. So I do pretty detailed scripts. But I also do a lot of what I call silent scripts. I
Hmm.
don't have a lot of captions, which the captions are, once upon a time, the character, I
Hmm.
don't do a lot of that. I really like letting the pictures tell the story.
Yeah, it's like the Hitchcock thing, where it's like
Yeah.
you don't need the dialogue. It's all so you're writing in these scripts, these initial scripts, you're writing what's happening in the panels. So you're basically
Yes,
visualizing the whole story as a comic without doing the drawings.
exactly.
Oh, that's so
Exactly.
cool. And
You
and
know,
so and then there's a certain amount of leeway. I imagine when the artist comes in, you say a person walks in the room with their hand raised, blah blah blah, and then the artist like gives you a slight different version of that you had in your head, but you're like, oh, that's cool.
yeah.
That so it becomes more
Or
collaborative in that way.
they'll add a panel, subtract a panel.
Okay.
Say if I write, he walks in and raises his hand. That's two panels.
Right.
That's
Okay.
walking in, raising hand.
Right.
So I give the artist. I'm always like, have fun with it. Just have fun with it. I'm not a dictator about
Yeah.
how I want everything.
That
I
sounds
like the
so
artist.
yeah, it sounds really fun. Sounds really
It
fun.
is. It is really fun. Like the way I work with Damien, like this ghost story. I wrote this Christmas ghost story. It's a very silent comic. Does not have many panels other than meanwhile, morning, little
Hmm.
cues. But the rest is just silent. I'm going to see how it works. And if it works silent, great. But I might, sometimes I have to come in and write
Right,
captions.
right. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
But I like to wait till the art's done to make that decision.
That's so cool. So is it when you write a comic, it's like, are you the director of the comic, sort of? Unless you maybe
I think
do it,
so.
unless you do it with the artist where it's like you're both kind of writing it in a way. Or is it like you have the
Co-direct.
yeah, yeah, but you kind of have like the final say. You decide, okay, it needs another caption here. So you're
Exactly.
okay. So you're like the director of the comic, kind of, as the writer. You're the writer and the
Kind of. Yeah.
director.
Exactly.
If you look at it as a
Exactly.
movie. Interesting.
Yeah. Yeah. It's
That's
fun though.
yeah, yeah. It
Very
sounds really cool.
experimental. Yeah, it is. And every comic is different because artists are so different.
Right.
You know,
Yeah.
But I just love the process. I mean, what's really funny is I've been looking for an artist for the Swan Street, the biography comic, for a couple of years,
Hmm.
and I finally found a great artist who understands the material because it's the '80s in Washington D.C.
Right.
He's Italian. The artist I found is Italian, and he
Ah,
totally he
that's
just
so
gets
cool.
it, and that's always the biggest hurdle. Like this the story I told you, The Killing Hole, takes place in '79. Artist gets it. He's
Right.
got the hair down,
Yeah,
because I was all
right.
like, man,
Yeah,
we all had
yeah.
this crazy, just like long hair, you know, even though it was the budding of punk rock for me.
Right.
So it's a weird
You're right. Yeah.
dichotomy there where it's like, yeah, I had long hair. I still kind of hung out with the freaks, as we called them,
Hmm.
but I was walking around in Buzzcocks and Ramones
Right.
t-shirts,
Yeah, yeah.
you know, and he got it. He nailed it,
That's
you
really
know.
cool. Yeah.
Yeah,
I imagine that's
it's really
important. It's important to find the right artist. You can't just do it with. Have you ever had an experience where, not, you don't have to say what, but have you ever had an experience where the artist didn't, you just didn't click with them, and it was,
yeah.
I imagine that's difficult.
Most of the time, it's if there have been cases where I'm working for a company and I don't have contact with the artist. Because most
Oh,
artists I work with, but if I submit a script to a publisher, they go off and find an artist, and the only communication is the script.
right.
And
Okay.
we get a little squirrely.
Yeah. Because
Um,
then you're not the director
but
anymore, in a way. You're not like
yeah,
directing it and having the final, making sure it's right.
yeah, because poor, Damien, the Christmas story takes place in 1912.
Mm.
So tons of research. I mean, I'm sending him pictures of everything. Like, this is what a
Wow.
graveyard looked like in 1912. What the city looked like, and I do a lot of visual reference.
Oh, cool.
For stuff like that. You know,
It sounds so
and
fun.
with the '70s one, I didn't have to give the guy anything, and I was like, I was basically ready to go. Like, just go watch Over the Edge. You watch it. You ever see that movie?
Which one is that?
Matt Damon's first movie about teenagers in a planned community in Colorado.
Oh man, I can't remember.
Oh,
I'm sure I've
you
seen
gotta
it,
see
but
it.
okay.
You'll
All right.
have like it's like it'll be like a deja vu rush.
I'll write it down. Cool.
Good soundtrack.
Okay, cool. I bet you I've seen it, but I will look for it. Um uh what was I gonna say? Oh, so I, listeners are used to
I
this
do
for
that
me.
all day long.
um I was gonna say, yeah, it seems to me so much fun. And so you're thinking in comics. When you write
Yes.
stories, you're thinking in comics. You're not thinking necessarily. Are you, is it like, are
I
you,
write an outline first, and the outline is very much like a movie outline.
okay,
You know,
right.
I write a little more flowery, more description, what's going on in the characters' heads.
Mm-hmm.
It's
Okay.
a little more descriptive. Then I take that and I convert it into a comic.
Okay. And you think
You
in
know,
terms of like frames and how it's,
yeah,
yeah.
yeah,
So
it's fun.
yeah,
It's a
it's
fun.
like, it
I
sounds
I
amazing.
love what I do.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
know,
Sounds like so much fun. It's like it's like you get to make a movie, but you don't have to deal with anybody.
exactly, exactly. Just tell a story. Tell a story, and it's basically it's me, the artist, the colorist if we have one,
Hmm.
the letterer, and the publisher. That's it.
Yeah, that's great.
Oh, and the editor when we have one. I don't work.
Okay.
On my indie stuff, I don't really work with editors too much.
Hmm.
I just bug my friends. I send them the scripts,
Yeah.
and poor Monica, she has to read everything. You know,
How are, I mean, how are comics doing these days?
very well.
Yeah.
You know, yeah. I mean, it's a really hard industry. It's a hard industry to get your finger on too. But like YA stuff is doing really good. Manga is doing really good.
Mhm.
Um, I think Image does great. My sales on my Image book were the best numbers I've had in years.
Oh, great.
So
That's
so
cool.
things appear to be doing good, but I mean, everybody struggles,
Yeah, yeah.
it's like any creative industry. It's
Yeah,
just
yeah. I know. It's like I think people think, Steve Niles is probably a multi-billionaire sitting, it's
uh,
like, people think
oh yeah,
that about me. And it's like, I'm fucking, I gotta make Night of Living Dead studies to bring some money so I can pay my mortgage in a couple of
exactly.
weeks.
Yeah. I,
It's
I
just,
I have to keep working,
yeah,
you know.
yeah, yeah. Just being
I
a
know people
worker.
just assume because you have a movie or you're associated with movies
Right,
that
right.
it's automatically like you're the rich one. No, somebody got rich. I
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's do you have advice for some younger people or even older people that want to start, just to do, not to get in the industry necessarily, but just to do their own comic, to do it?
You got it. I mean, I know that this is aggravating advice to give people, but it's true. You got to do it. You can't sit around talking about it. You
Mhm.
got to do it. And as you and I have talked about, and we both know, it's a very solitary thing,
Yeah.
you know. So you have to have that energy and that dedication to get those ideas down on paper or the computer or whatever. But honestly, doing it is the toughest hurdle. I know
Yeah.
so many people are like, I've got a movie idea. I'm like, yeah, is it written? No.
Everybody's got a movie idea pretty much.
I know. You got to do it. And that's a
Yeah.
big, I've been writing since I was a teenager, just for
Yeah.
fun. I mean, just tormenting my friends. Like, here's my new short story. You got to read it. Um, you got to do it, and you got to stick with it.
Yeah.
You know
Yeah.
that's really the biggest thing.
It's like always the same. It's the same for everything. It's like you have to do it. You just have to do it,
Yeah,
and you have to keep practicing at it, and that's it.
yeah.
And nowadays there's
And once you're doing it,
no, go
I
ahead.
was just saying, once you're doing it, then you get out in the world. You meet editors, you meet publishers, you go
Hmm.
to the comic conventions, you start networking.
Right.
There's a lot of stuff you can do online these days.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
the first, you don't do it, none of that matters.
Yeah. Yeah. And with YouTube and all, the thing that's different about now than the 70s especially, is that, remember how hard it was to find any kind of resources to learn how to make masks or how to do makeup effects or how to write or how to edit a Super 8 movie. It's like nobody had that info. You had to go to the library, look through a bunch of
Yep.
books if they had them. And now there is literally every there's a tutorial for anything you want to do just for free now on YouTube.
Yeah. Yeah.
Everything.
I used to hand type letters to my favorite creators,
Right.
asking
Yeah.
them what the hell do I do. You know,
Yep.
you know,
Snail mail,
I mean,
man. I remember.
yeah, and some wrote back,
Right.
of all people, Richard Matheson wrote me back.
Are you serious?
Yeah, that's
Yep.
how I got the rights to I Am Legend.
Holy shit. How old
I
were
was
you?
only 20, 21.
That's amazing. That must have been such an
Got,
amazing feeling.
yeah, and he charged me $100.
Are
He
you
was just,
serious? Just to be
I
cool?
just, he actually, I have the letters. He was actually apologetic about asking for $100.
This is blowing my
I
mind.
know, I know. Well, believe me, it's blown my mind for years. So I got my first adaptation that I did myself was I Am Legend.
Yeah, yeah. So
Yeah.
did he, was it like he just was he like in a lull in his career or something to where
Oh,
no,
yeah.
he
He was doing great. You
and he just
know.
did it to be cool? because he liked
Yeah,
you, or you were
he was
interested?
just a cool guy. He liked me. I wrote him a long letter explaining why Omega Man and Last Man on Earth was good, but didn't quite capture the novel. I was a little punk kid, just like,
Wow,
and yeah,
that's
he was
amazing.
just amazingly cool guy, just really cool.
Wow. So you
Yeah,
were you able to like meet him in person and stuff
I did.
later?
Do you know Dell at Dark
Yeah,
Delicacies?
yeah, yeah.
That store? Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, Dell is one of the owners. He took me to Matheson's house in just a few years before he passed away. And
How
wow,
was that?
I I was really nervous, but he was really cool. He was really great. We were laughing about stuff. He explained, because I was like, I hate the Will Smith,
Yeah.
like that's what he didn't do it. And he was like, I have never been treated better, paid better, and it was the first time in his career that he saw his book in the windows of bookstores
Wow. Yeah, so it's a
because they
different
put out
perspective for him, I guess, you know.
exactly.
But
Yeah,
the
so I was like,
movie, yeah, yeah, exactly. It's like that's the thing.
uh,
It's like, okay, for us as fans, it was terrible and disappointing, but we're we will accept that because Richard Matheson got paid what he
exactly.
treated well. It's like it makes you feel a little bit better about the movie. Uh
A little.
how hard
I
is
have
it?
a what?
How hard is it that it's like the source material is
Oh,
so good? How do you fuck that
the
up?
source material is there. It's clear.
It's
Could
amazing.
I think could be filmed on a budget.
I
I mean, I
know.
see no reason.
I
It
know.
doesn't have
It's
to be a big
crazy.
movie. Oh, just go to the suburbs, burn down two houses,
Yeah.
one in the middle, and you got your set.
Yeah, it's just such a bummer. That's what kills me about Hollywood. That's the kind of thing that just drives me nuts. It's like, how do you fuck
Uh,
up something like that? It's all there for
well,
you.
I remember when I was pitching 30 Days. I went to one studio. I'll leave names out of it,
Okay.
but I pitched them 30 Days a Night, which I think whatever. It's a basic pitch. Vampires in Alaska. That's
Yeah.
it. It's dark there all the time. Vampires are gonna
Yeah.
kill all of you.
It's so
And
great.
this guy goes, I think it needs a twist. And I'm like, what? And he goes, how about if there's a diamond buried beneath Barrow, Alaska, that will make them daywalkers? And I was just like, and he's like, because I don't really understand the vampire's motivation.
Oh my god. That's the kind of
I
shit
know.
that makes you just want to like go, fuck all of this shit. I'm going back to comics.
Well, there's at least a good ending to the story. He got fired for
Oh, good.
that because it was so stupid. It was just so dumb. I walked out of there like, thanks, see you later.
Dude, I've heard I mean, I'm sure you've had your share, but just being on sort of the outskirts of it, I've seen enough of that stuff that's just like, how do these people get jobs? How do they get in these
Yeah,
positions of power when
exactly.
they have
I
no
know.
taste, they're not creative, they're not even really interested in that genre? It's like,
Well,
just
there's a weird mentality where it's like, well, I worked my way up from the mailroom. It's like, what does that have to do with entertainment?
yeah, right.
You know, I'm not sure that. I mean,
Yeah,
I understand you
right.
you understand how the companies work,
Yeah.
but it's how creativity.
Like getting up to an hour and a half.
Oh,
Uh
cool.
yeah, it goes by quick when you're having fun. These conversations. Oh,
Yeah, it did.
yeah. Um
No, I like this though. I like just the nice and conversational.
yeah. These are the best interviews, I think. Um
Yeah.
I
I had
still
to do.
oh no, go ahead.
Oh, I was just gonna say I did a comic based. Do you know Dio?
Yeah, the band?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Mhm.
So I did a comic based on one of their albums,
Oh wow.
uh, the Demon cover album.
Yeah,
So I
yeah.
did a cover of that, and oh my god, the podcasts for that were excruciating because I'm not a metal guy.
Oh yeah. I know, that's I don't know if you want to have this on the podcast. I'm recording, so
Oh,
I don't.
oh, it's fine. I don't care.
Okay, yeah. That's funny. I run into this situation a lot because of the kind of artwork I do. People assume I'm like a metal guy, and it's like I like I like metal. I like some metal, like I like AC/DC, I like Black Sabbath, I
Yeah.
like, kind of like the classics. And
Yeah.
and there's some stuff like Mastodon I like, and there's like new, I'm
Yeah.
so out of the loop, but I'm more of a like a punk, post-punk, whatever you want to
Yeah.
call it, type person. And it's like, my artwork doesn't really necessarily reflect that. People, it's like it's very like associated with metal album covers. So people just, and I have long hair too. It's just like it just fucking grows that way. I don't like try and grow my hair long. It's like this is what happens when you don't do anything.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's called being a bum. Growing
Yeah.
up,
I know.
it's like this is.
But with that, I just did my research. I
Mhm.
listened to the album. I talked to his widow. I
I
figured out what the story was supposed to be.
That's
You know,
cool. I
and I had
actually,
a blast. I actually
yeah,
had a blast.
that's cool. That's cool. I do like Dio. The Dio was there's a few songs I really like of his, and I think he had a really great voice, and his stuff in Black Sabbath was cool. I like the Dio Black
Yeah.
Sabbath period. That was,
Yeah.
he seemed Dio was like, I don't know. There was a lot of cheesy metal happening at that time, and Dio, aside from the videos, the music was, I thought, was cool. It was pretty,
Yeah.
wasn't like a lot of the cheesy stuff that was coming out at the time. But
Yeah. I
uh
had fun with it. And his widow was so cool.
yeah, he seemed
She
like
was
a
just
really
like,
cool guy too, from what I've seen in interviews
yeah.
and stuff,
Yeah. Because I was I was asking questions and stuff, and she was just like, it's just Ronnie hunting demons. Like, oh,
It's like, yeah,
okay.
that's
Well, that makes that a lot easier.
this is the thing though, because there is more of I mean, there's kind of a connection between punk and horror. There is a thread there, but there's more of a connection between metal and horror,
Yeah.
and so it is weird to not be like a full-on metalhead and be a full-on horror person. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I'm sure you feel
Yeah.
this being a
Yeah.
punk guy.
What do you, just out of curiosity, what do you listen? Are you listening to anything new these days, or just
I
basically older music?
I
Or
still listen to the same old. I listen to, I'm still a huge No Means No fan. I'm still a huge Devo fan. It's like, it's like Fugazi and
yeah,
stuff that I can't. Although there is a band called Invasives, and I
oh,
know you haven't heard of them because nobody's heard of them, and they're amazing. They're amazing.
invasive.
Invasives. If you look at them on
I'm writing that
Bandcamp, I actually like contacted them and said, you can use any of my artwork you want for an album. I love you so much. And they were like, what? I was like, free of charge. They were like,
down. That's so
no one's
cool.
ever said that to me before. They thought I was like after something. And they were, because it's like they don't do any social media. They just play live gigs. They're a Canadian band, and they're kind of, they're in the style of No Means No a bit, and I'm really into that kind of 3-piece, super tight, fast,
Yeah,
aggressive, but like weird changes and stuff. And so
yeah.
they're probably the newest band I've kind of been into lately. Really cool. You should check them out. Invasives.
I've been listening to a lot of. Have you ever heard of a Swedish band called Truck Fighters?
No. Truck
Check
Fighters.
them out. You would
Okay.
love them.
Really?
You would love them. Look
Excellent.
up a song called "In Search of,"
Okay. In search. I'm writing it
like
down.
the old Nimoy TV show.
Yeah. Truck Fighters.
Truck Fighters.
Truck
Two
Fighters.
words.
Okay. Cool.
Not that it would make much difference, but yeah, I just love them. They're quirky. They do all kinds of weird shit.
Cool.
I get a big kick out of them.
Excellent.
But yeah, I'm the same way. I just listen to a lot of older stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Around and love my Bad Brains and stuff
Oh
like
yeah.
that.
Yep.
I like really aggressive music.
Yeah. It's a trip. Yeah, it's like nothing beats it. Um I interviewed a guy named Mitch Horowitz.
I know Mitch.
You know Mitch, the writer?
The art.
The what?
Oh,
No, this is a writer.
Horowitz. I'm thinking. Oh, I was thinking the art dealer.
Hmm.
Okay.
And he's like a um, positive mind metaphysics guy, and he writes about that sort of thing, like visualization and occult magic and stuff like this. Because I'm into that stuff too. And I had him on the podcast. It like 2 or 3 podcasts. Really, really amazing episode. And what first kind of turned me onto his work is he's like our age, and he's got the black flag bars tattooed in his hand, and he's got bad brain. He's always wearing Bad Brains t-shirts. And it's so cool because I'm reading through his books. He's like a punk that is kind of teaching this new age stuff. It's really, really cool. Or he's just
where's he out of? Where's he?
He's in
located?
New York. He's in New York. Yeah, he's from New Jersey, I think.
Name is so familiar.
He's been like he's written for like the New York Times and all. He's like a kind of a big deal. He gets like put on like TV shows for Discovery Channel about like the pyramids and weird mystical stuff. But it's so cool because in this one book, his new book called Daydream Believer, which is the title's from the monkey song. Yeah. It's just like once I started looking into him, he was like so like we grew up at the same time, so it's just like you probably will relate to it. It's really, really great stuff. But he talks about in Daydream Believer, I think he talks about Bad Brains and HR, who was totally into positive mind metaphysics because of I forget the guy's name, the Think and Grow Rich, this old book. It's basically visualization techniques from like the 40s, maybe. I don't know if it's Dale Carnegie or no, it's this other guy. I gotta look it up. Think and Grow Rich. Anyway, and he quotes that PMA, that positive mental attitude.
Yeah,
and it's like he's talking about HR and how when he was a kid he discovered this book, which is like a visualization book on how to manifest the reality that you want through mental focus and stuff and through mystical means or whatever. And he's like, it was like talking about how it just kind of changed HR's life at that point. And it was like, what a trip. So cool. To hear talk about Bad Brains and HR in that context.
Yeah.
It's in the podcast if you check it out.
Oh, nice.
He's great. He's great. Really smart too. Napoleon Hill, Think and Grow Rich. It's like this old classic. Trump liked this book back in the day. It's like this lot of people. It's a famous book about like, focusing on things. Anyway, I just thought that was kind of cool. That this dude's also like
that is cool,
like a punk rocker like us. Really, really great guy too. So okay, one thing I have to ask you before we go is, I read that you interviewed the members of KISS.
I sure did.
You have to tell me about this.
I also interviewed Ozzy Osbourne.
No way, really?
Yeah, this was I worked briefly as just sort of a gun for hire for Todd McFarlane.
Okay.
And at the time, he was putting out Kiss magazine.
Oh, right, that's right.
And Ozzy Osbourne magazine with comics and articles, the whole deal. So yeah, he had me, and I was like, especially with Kiss, I'm like, okay, I listened to him in the 3rd grade. Like I was like a teenager. I was like a kid.
Right. When I was 9 years old, I was totally into Kiss. Everybody was into Kiss back then.
Oh yeah, I mean the pictures with the blood all over his face.
Yeah.
Oh, I love that shit so much. But yeah, I interviewed Peter Criss and Paul Stanley, but not Gene Simmons and not Ace Frehley.
Wow. Okay. So how was that?
Yeah.
What was it like?
They were both really sweet guys. Peter Criss was like the nicest guy I've ever met.
Wow.
Just at the end, he's like, "Oh, next time I see you, we'll get together, have some drinks, and da da da." And
Wow.
just
How old were
really
you when
sweet
this
guy.
happened?
Oh, I was in LA, so I must have been 30 or
Oh,
so.
okay.
Yeah,
Wow. Wow.
yeah,
Wow. What a
yeah,
trip.
yeah. But yeah, and interviewing Ozzy Osbourne
Yeah.
was
How was that?
hilarious.
Was
Oh,
he?
it. I still remember the one question that I just loved was because I was doing for Todd McFarlane, they had put out that action figure of his.
Mm-hmm.
Remember when he was doing all the music, he was doing music
Yeah.
people, Rob Zombie,
Mm-hmm. You're right. Right.
action figure. So I said, so what's it like to have your own action figure? And he was like, well, I work out and I do what I can. And I was like, oh wait, he didn't get the question at all. So he talked about physical fitness for about 5 minutes. I just realized maybe action figure isn't the best term to ask me.
Right. Yeah.
But those were really fun times. I
Yeah.
was
That's
just
pretty
Todd just
cool.
had me doing all kinds of crap. I was doing episode guides for the Spawn animated series,
But
all kinds of stuff
were
like
you
that.
just like on staff working like
No,
salary kind of
you
thing, or
know,
was it like here's a gig, go do it?
yeah, it was all just gig by gig because I had moved to LA to, of all things, work for Disney,
Whoa.
for Disney Interactive.
Wow.
I
Okay.
worked there for a year. Um, they were trying to emulate the old studio system, the animation studio system. So they hired, creatives from all over the world.
Hmm.
But they forgot to hire anybody who knew how to make a fucking video game. So we were just like twiddling our thumbs and playing video games for a year. And
Wow.
they laid everybody off. 200 people, they laid us off.
Wow.
And I was like literally stuck in LA. I'm like,
Wow.
well, I moved here and now I'm in LA. And Bo Smith, who I knew from Eclipse, um, hooked me up with Todd McFarlane. And I just started doing whatever gigs they threw at
Wow.
and it was like, and then the more I did it, the more he wanted. So, I mean, my days with McFarlane were like writer boot camp
Yeah,
because
that's
he
that's
would call me, yeah, he would call me like every day, like I have an idea, and I would have to write an outline by the end of the day.
wow. Yeah, I was thinking, that's probably really good for just, you know, learning your chops on this stuff, on writing, when you're just
Yeah,
being like thrown all these weird things that you wouldn't normally do. I'm sure it was really good for your
exactly.
writing.
Yeah, I was doing articles on the Crow. Before I knew anybody involved with that, I was, like interviewing Kiss. It was just
Yeah.
crazy.
So cool. You've had quite a life, man. You've had a really amazing career.
Oh,
Um,
thanks.
yeah,
It's
and you're
been an
still,
adventure.
what's that?
I said it's been an adventure, but a fun one, luckily.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And you're still doing it, man. It's like, it's great. I mean, I can't even imagine ever stopping. I can't
Oh,
imagine
me neither.
retiring. It's like, what, I don't know what I would do. I had to make myself take 2 days off this weekend because I finished my show. I have a show on Saturday, and I was just cranking for 3 months straight, really pushing. And it's like, okay, I got to get some rest. And it's like 6 hours into it, I'm like getting antsy. I got to do something again.
Exactly. Exactly. Well,
It's
that's what
like,
I said earlier. I'm sort of in between projects right now because I just finished one,
right.
and I'm already like, what am I going to do next? What am
Yeah.
I going to,
Because it's
have to
fun.
start from the ground up.
It's fun.
Yeah,
It's like, this is what we do for
it is.
fun. This is how we
Yeah,
party.
yeah. No, I really enjoy my life. I have to admit.
Yeah, you got a great life. You got a great are you yeah, you got a great wife, Monica. You guys are married
Yeah.
now, and you live
Oh
out in the
yeah.
middle of nowhere. You got a bunch of animals. You're writing comic books all every day. It's like,
Yeah.
come on.
I'm far from people.
Yeah. You
I
got
couldn't be happier.
That's excellent. That's excellent. Yeah, one of these, I am determined to do some kind of comic book at some point,
Oh,
and it's like,
got
I want to do it so bad. I just have not done it. And I definitely want to work with you at some point on something. We got to do something. We got to do
I had so
something.
much fun when we
I know.
jammed on
I
this.
know.
That was such a fun time.
I know. So
Uh,
we should do something. We should do something. I mean, I would love to if you're
I'd
down
love
for it.
it.
But I was
Oh, I
just
would.
so impressed with it was funny because I remember you started typing, and I was just like, whoa, how are you doing that? You're like, I'm a writer. This is what I do. But it was so impressive to me because you were just like, what about this? Just like writing it is like, oh my God, how did he just do that? It's like like
Yeah.
magic for me. Cause when I go to sit down and write something, I'm like, it's like just it's like my brain, operating on this painting, totally a different trip, but I am
Yeah.
really,
But I can't. I'm amazed by what you do because I can't touch it.
right.
I
Yeah, well,
can stick.
right.
Believe me, as an artist and a writer, nobody would ever hear from me again.
It's just
You know,
it's grass is always greener. I swear you can't do everything, but
but we
I'm
definitely should.
yeah
Honestly, I think it's a matter of just taking the time and putting our heads together.
yeah for
I think
sure.
we come up with something fast.
Yeah. Okay. Well, you heard it, everybody. We said it, so
Yeah,
we're now we have to do something. So,
now we have to. I
well,
love it.
cool. Yeah, yeah. Well, we'll get to. We also, got to get together at some point again and hang out
Yeah,
just for fun. Anyway.
things are starting to ease up a little bit. I feel better about traveling around, being around people. So
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
one
Okay.
or the other of us has to come over the hill.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I could. I'd be happy to come and check out, see your menagerie and see Monica and. Yeah, and my schedule is I get my now that my show's done, things are better. So anyway, we could talk about this later, but yeah, thanks for coming on, man. I really enjoyed talking with you. I'm sorry it took so long. I don't know why it took so long to get you on the podcast, but
It's
yeah,
okay.
yeah,
It's
yeah.
great.
It's I could I could keep talking to you for hours, but maybe just you can come on another time. Maybe when you've got like a new comic that's coming out or something that's going to be
I'd
released
love
that's
that.
and you get to promote it or whatever, but just any excuse
Oh,
to get together and talk,
yeah,
you know
absolutely. I'd
be
love
great.
that.
Cool.
Yeah.
And as always, people can find your everything at steveniles.com. Is that the
SteveNiles.com. I'm on Instagram. I'm on Facebook. I'm on Twitter.
okay?
I
Yeah,
mean, I'm not on there a lot, but that's where you can find me. You
cool.
know.
Well, thank you. Don't hang up. And thank you for coming on the show. And then, as was customary, you just have to say goodbye to the audience in some way. Just say
Oh,
goodbye, audience, or
thank
something.
you. And goodbye, everybody. Thank you so much.
Bye.